Mackenzie Johnston with Cattle News Central, bringing you your June 22nd cattle industry headlines, brought to you by 4T Ag Insurance, your go-to contractor for ag insurance. Colt Tritt, he is the owner and operator of 4T Ag. He is a one-man show. He himself ranches, so he understands all the risks that go along with the livestock industry. If your operation is not already enrolled in PRF insurance, now would be a great time to reach out to 4T Ag and get enrolled. And if you want to learn a little bit more about 4T Ag and check out everything they have to offer, head on over to their website, www.4tag.net. That is the number 4, TAG.net. We are also sponsored by Circle 5 Cow School. If you're wanting to learn how to preg check your own cows or start eyeing, Circle 5 Cow School is definitely the way to go. Almost every week they are hosting classes somewhere between Texas and Tennessee. They do a phenomenal job. To check out their schedule, head on over to their website, circle5cowschool.com. That is the number 5 in there, or you can go ahead and just give them a follow on Facebook. Drovers has reported on Wednesday the Senate Ag Panel is expected to vote on the Meat and Poultry Special Investigator Act of 2022 and the Cattle Price Discovery and Transparency Act of 2022. Both bills should clear the panel, however, Republican opposition is expected. So a quick refresher on these bills. The Cattle Price Discovery and Transparency Act aims to increase transparency and price discovery in our cattle markets. The bill, there's a lot to it, but a couple of the main things that the bill would do, it would create a cattle contract library, and it would also create regional mandatory cash minimums. According to Senator John Boozman, a Republican from Arkansas, ranking member of the Senate Ag Committee, minimum negotiated cash requirements have the potential to actually impose costs on producers. He believes that this bill picks winners and losers, and the Southern Plains region would definitely come out as losers in this situation. But we all know when the packers actually have to get out and compete for cattle, when they actually have to dabble in that negotiated cash market, prices go up. We saw that last week. Cash market, cash trade, it was phenomenal. It's because the packers, they had to go out and actually bid on cattle. Actual competition. Look what it did to our market. It was great. It is what we need in our industry. As I reported earlier this week, the Meat and Poultry Investigator Act would create a new USDA office dedicated to enforcing competition rules under the Packers and Stockyards Act. Boozman, he also does not agree with this bill, stating that the special investigator's powers could affect not only major processors, but also increase regulatory costs for smaller operators. He said this bill was sold claiming that it would go after the big 4 packers, but that is not the case. But keep in mind, Boozman, he is from Arkansas, and Arkansas is Tyson, so he might have a little bit of a biased opinion. This update is also sponsored by Ag Risk Advisors. They manage your risk so you can manage your operation. With the weather being unstable, there is no better time to look into coverage for your feed crops. The annual forage deadline is right around the corner. With their state-of-the-art technology and second-to-none customer service, you can be confident that your policy is in good hands. Ag Risk Advisors, risks averted, legacies preserved. So as I was just talking about the Cattle Price Discovery and Transparency Act, we all know that the industry is incredibly divided when it comes to this bill, and Drovers has reported on that division in our industry. According to Craig Moss of Hull, Iowa, this bill would increase competition and transparency in our cattle markets. He said the minimums that would be set through this bill is the biggest benefit, as they would prevent further erosion when it comes to cash trade in our fed cattle markets. Brad Koima of Rock Valley, Iowa, worked with Senator Chuck Grassley on the bill, and he believes that the contract library would greatly increase transparency in our markets. The hang-up with this bill is on the negotiated cash mandate, said Koima. In the cattle industry, we have Farm Bureau and NCBA strongly opposing this bill because of the cash mandate. According to Ethan Lane, NCBA's Vice President of Government Affairs, the majority of cattle producers do not support mandates, and AMAs are a tool that a vast majority of cattle producers are using to make more money on their cattle. AMAs allow cattlemen to receive premiums on their cattle for either genetics, increased quality, etc., said Lane. He even went as far as saying that cow-calf producers are using AMAs to provide signals that they are raising the right kind of cattle for the market and for the consumer. In response to this, Koima said that there is plenty of room for AMAs in negotiated cash trade, and that is exactly right. This bill, it does not do away with AMAs. Despite what so many people have said, this bill, it doesn't do away with AMAs. AMAs will still be there. Koima went on to say that we just need to make sure that we have some integrity so there's enough price discovery that we actually have a market. And he's spot on. Just like I said, we don't want to do away with AMAs, but we want to make sure we still have that competitive cash market that really sets the accurate value of our fat cattle. But Lane believes the markets are just fine. We have heard this from him and NCBA time and time again. He said cash trade has significantly increased over the last 2 years thanks to a voluntary effort from the industry. With that statement, I don't know if he's referring to the voluntary approach that they set into place here a few years ago. That was a complete and utter failure. That can't be it. He went on to say that packer margins, they've dropped as much as 700% from the peak of the pandemic. So in the end, the market has made the moves that it needs to correct itself. And then, of course, in our industry, we have RCAF, who claims the mandate requirements in this bill, they aren't enough. They believe that this bill is a compromise written by lobbyists for lobbyists. They would like to see this bill have a lot more teeth to it. They want something stronger. And I can't disagree with that, of course. We would all like to have something with a little bit more teeth, a little bit more impact, but we also need to realize what is attainable. At some point, you have to achieve something. You cannot just have loss after loss when you're going after something in the industry. You have to have a win eventually, or else these issues will just continue to kick the can on down the road and nothing will get better. Nothing will get better. We have to have a win at some point. So what are the chances of this bill passing? According to Koima, Senator Grassley is confident that the bill will at least be good enough to get a chance at a vote. Koima worries that if we don't do something to fix our cattle markets, we're going to continue to see further deterioration of cash trade. We'll also see more and more small to mid-sized producers drop out of the game. As I just said, if we don't get something passed, our industry, in my opinion, is just going to go down the path of vertical integration. We have to have competitive trade when it comes to our fat cattle market. And if we don't keep that alive, I think the future of our industry looks pretty grim. That is all I have for you guys this morning. I hope everyone is having a great week. This will actually be my last update for the week. I am taking off to Wyoming here in a few days. I'm speaking out at the Carbon County Farm Bureau Federation picnic out in Saratoga, Wyoming. If you are out in that area, make sure to mark your calendars for Friday afternoon at 4:00. I will be speaking. There will be food. There will be music. It will just be an all-around great time. So if you're in the area, be sure to attend. Everyone else, you guys have a great rest of your week. Enjoy this nice weather. It has finally cooled off here in central Nebraska. I believe yesterday it was only in the high 80s. So it felt like a cold front, definitely. Have a wonderful weekend. I'll catch you next week.